go. Hey, episode 10. Go live. That's what we're going to call it, I guess.
I guess. Should make a good thumbnail for the recording.
There we go.
Oh, man.
So what's going on with Tech Rails? What's an update?
Well, let's see. Product update. Well, there's a few things that I really don't want to bring up just yet, but in general, inventory. We'll discuss that first, and then I'll get into specific new products and how they're going. So inventory typically takes anywhere from 2 to 3 months to receive from the various machine shops and manufacturers that make my stuff. And it's been about 5-6 weeks since I've been ordering from them. Right now I have inbound, I'll probably have within the next week, GT Halos and XR Halos. GT Halos are the later version with the foothold inserts on the top. No, the XR foot pads don't have the foothold threaded inserts in them yet. Several reasons as to why. One of the main reasons is we had been fighting with issues related to threaded inserts and cracking of the polycarbonate, and so the factory. Well, I guess I'll share some specifics. So with that, we had been all the threaded inserts on the polycarbonate foot pads they've been threaded into the plastic, both the 6 millimeter on the threaded inserts on the top for the footholds and the 5 millimeter threaded inserts on the bottom for the chassis screws. All of those have been tapped in. Our early Halos, they were heat set, which means they'd be heated up with an iron and pressed in, so they would melt their way into the plastic and hold in place. And those, under extreme use, could pull out. So the ones that thread in won't pull out as easily, but the problem is threading them into the plastic would put an outward pressure on the plastic. And then, especially if temperature would vary, let's say they're made in a 75-degree machine shop and then shipped in the middle of winter, it's cold, the plastic shrinks, but the insert doesn't, and so it's shrinking around that insert, which already has outward pressure, and it would make a crack coming from one or two of the inserts. So we've been experimenting with pre-threading the plastic versus just forcing the inserts in. That helped some, but we still had some issues. Well, finally, the machine shop had an idea to use the milling machine itself to use a spiral program to actually machine the threads in, not running a tap in. And they did some experimentation looking at, sort of on a microscopic level, what just tapped threads look like, under a microscope versus what machine cut threads look like. The tapped threads, it was all fuzzy and kind of garfed looking. I mean, you look at it by the naked eye, it looked great, but under a microscope, you could see it was really messed up. Whereas the machine cut threads in the polycarbonate, it's like a polished, shiny surface to all the threads. So put a bunch of inserts in, and he heated up the foot pad and froze the foot pad and did a bunch of different things with it. No cracks at all. Now, that wasn't with them being shipped to me. That was just him experimenting there at the factory. But the guy's like, dude, I think after a year and a half of fighting with figuring this out, I think we got it figured out. Wow. So that's good. Hopefully moving forward, I won't have this, I get a batch of 20 sets of Halos, 4 sets are blemished because there's a crack on one of the inserts or something, and all that hassle. So hopefully that will be resolved. So we wanted to resolve that before we went through the CAD time of designing XR foot pads for foothold threaded inserts. So that's that. I also have, it will be 12 sets, 10 sets will be made available for people of what I would call developers kits, liquid cooling kits. So for those of you that don't know, a developer's kit just means a roughly complete assembly that requires some level of technical knowledge to install, because it's not a complete kit with full directions. Kind of like people that are into electronics, they get a breadboard kit and do their own soldering and all that. So I'll be offering 10 developers kits of hypercore liquid cooling
Yeah.
kits. That will be comprised of the heat exchanger, which is essentially a heat sink on the front end, and on the back end is liquid cooling passages for the water or coolant to flow. It will also consist of the axle sleeve that slides into the hypercore axle that has a U-shaped liquid cooling path through it. It'll come with the coolant pump, all the hoses, which are just normal 3mm ID radio control silicone nitro fuel line. So readily available at any hobby shop, but I'll be including that. Oh goodness, thermal paste for the insert into the axle. Also with the stator insert that goes between the stator laminations and the axle to draw the heat, flow the heat from the windings to the axle so that it can then be more efficiently extracted through the liquid cooling sleeve. May or may not include a step-down buck converter to convert the battery pack voltage down to a low 3 to 5 volts for the coolant pump to run on. Yeah. You can also run it on a single 18650 cell. The coolant pump will run for 6 hours on a charge on a single 18650 cell. Yeah. But so this will be basically a box full of parts with some basic explanation. And again, I'll have 10 of those kits available for people to test. My initial bench testing shows a pretty drastic cooling improvement with this. I'm also going to do some of my own testing with multiple heat exchangers, 2 heat exchangers instead of 1, to see can we improve cooling even more that way, or have we already maxed things out. So that's another product update. On a previous episode, I showed the new billet foot pads that are drilled and tapped for all of the titanium pegs or studs. So that prototype set, they look good on camera, but there were several fitment issues and different things. They were the first alpha prototypes. So I've got another set, beta prototypes, that we corrected the issues. I mean, they fit and all that, but if I had it in front of you, I could point out little things. So we corrected those things, removed some weight, some material to lower the weight, and also now have the both narrow and wide side wings. So if you have very huge feet, you can run them really wide foot pads, almost 13 inches, or one wide foot pad on one side, one wide overhang on the other side for an offset foot stance, per Neil Bennett's advice to run an offset foot stance. So that all of those parts are coming for testing. I expect to have those within a week. So let's see here. There's some other new stuff that I'm developing. Nothing earth-shattering, but some other new things that I'm not going to bring up. Again, nothing huge, but a few little things.
How about the footholds? Any update on those?
Footholds. So, I mean, we have more toe jams coming, but yes, there are. We're working on different top hooks. Like I noticed, you've been experimenting also with Flight Fins Falcons screwed to the top.
Yeah, looks pretty good.
Of my toe jams. So yes, so that is. I've got 2 different guys that are kind of working on that, and part of me wants to go away from a printed part for that. We've got an episode coming up soon about 3D printed parts in general, but 3D printing is great and it's getting better and better and better. But the top hooks. The plastic is a little bit slippery. You can get adhesive padding to put on the inside that helps your foot stick better. And they're more than strong enough to use, but if you barrel roll your board, on rocks, you can hit it and they will break. Now, I give the printing file out for free so people can print spares.
Yeah.
But the reality is the top hook should be more, I'll say, crash resilient. Yeah. And as a sidebar, initially I went with 3D printing for the top hooks rather than machining or anything else because I didn't want the entire foothold assembly to be ultra strong, because then if you flip the board, it could break off the titanium screws into the billet foot pads, and I didn't want that. But a billet top hook is definitely a possibility. It's something I'm looking into. I'm looking into potentially even a different style foothold, but I that's only in the idea stage. I mean, that would be like race season a year from now.
Yeah, like
So, but I think that just the alterations I'm making to the 3D printed top hook and potentially making that in aluminum will help resolve some of the just the durability things of crashing the board. So that's that.
That's
The 12/8 tire capable double XL GT rails, those are at a beta tester. He's been posting some things online. They're working great. He weighs, I think, 250 pounds. So he has been a good tester for the durability of them. And they appear to be durable. There's good clearance everywhere, except at the rear. We're going to add an extra few millimeters of rear tire clearance. We're at the limit at the front tire, though, because of motor harness wire length. So, but there's also more clearance on the front than the rear, we found. So the rear is a little bit closer than we like to see. So those are going into production both in 357 and 757 angles for the GT. So for the 12/8 tire,
cool.
yeah. And I think it's time. Number one, the rally already comes with a couple degrees at the nose, and so if you wanted to just program, to elevate the nose, any of the rally boards or the XL, you could just program some nose up, and the 757s will work. But the main thing, though, are for the vest guys that can do anything they want from an angle programming standpoint. That's going to be exciting. I have a lot of requests for those.
Yeah.
But I do have inventory of, good grief, 5-inch billet wheels, 6-inch billet wheels, beadlock wheels, switchblade rails, billet foot pads, ice blocks, the version 2 ice blocks. All of that stuff is coming. And so I expect to be, inventory is going to begin arriving within a week. But the bulk of the stuff, most of the billet parts, about a month from now to maybe 6 weeks from now is when the bulk of that, the wave of those parts.
I see that Travis has some stuff that he's trying to.
So Travis is selling off some inventory, I think, in preparation for new stuff coming in for race season.
Got 5 and 6 inch.
5 and 6 inch wheels, switchblade rails, standard length switchblade rails. And some toe jam footholds. I don't know if he's got any ice blocks, but if you guys want any parts, hit up Travis.
Good colors too.
Travis has always been big on the bright colors. In fact, I have minimized my inventory of bright colors just because that's a Travis thing.
Yeah.
So hit up Travis Broach or Tech Rails Travis, and he's got inventory and that he's selling. And I'm betting he'd be willing to do like a package deal if you wanted a wheel and rails and footholds or whatever.
Now's the time.
Color matching, and I know he's got some crazy color match stuff. He's got pink parts in stock.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have a lot, but he's got a couple wheels, a couple rails.
He's got some good green in there too.
He's got a few things, but not a lot. So it's going to sell out quick.
Yeah.
So reach out to Travis.
Yeah.
In fact, by the time we're live, but by the time it airs and recording on YouTube, we hope it's live.
Yeah.
So raise your hand if you're watching.
Yeah. I don't see you.
I don't see it.
Yeah.
So that's that. That is kind of inventory update, and curious to see what happens this year. This year started out a little bit stronger than last year. Like January was pretty good. I was getting orders. February was kind of okay. March has been like dead.
Yeah.
I mean, virtually no orders. Every day I'm filling orders, but it's not like, I was thinking this year is already starting off good, but it started off kind of good and then it's settled. So we'll see how things go.
Yeah.
It is kind of cool. There's a lot of new small players in the game that are starting back in again, little cottage industries. So that's kind of cool to see.
It's good.
See people that have some neat ideas, and but I've got some other things. I haven't even told you about this, but I'm my office. You've seen all of that shelving stuff. Those extrusions are made by 80/20 company. Well, I've got a couple ideas for board storage, board rack, and also board service sort of assembly that you can
that'd
put on
be
a
good.
workbench to
Yeah.
hold your board to make it easier to service using the 80/20 extrusions. And I've got a really cool idea for a 2 or 3 board sort of storage rack, potentially even with a workbench on top with board storage underneath, but that required specific mounting brackets that at a certain angle that you can't buy. So I'm having those manufactured.
Nice.
So as a little kind of a side thing for people that...
So maybe you're going to be selling a Tech Rails.
I don't know. It's something I haven't even told you about, but
Wow.
I came up with this idea a couple months back when I
pretty
started
cool.
messing with my office. So I'll have some L brackets that are not at 90 degrees, that are at a kind of an odd angle to allow a rack that has a specific lean angle to it that you can stack boards almost like a staircase stack. If you stack boards vertically, it gets tall and it's a narrow footprint, but if you stack boards in a staggered fashion like a staircase, now the base is wider, it's easier to get a board, out of the middle, and for display purposes it looks better.
Yeah.
So I've got some brackets for 80/20 extrusions to make OneWheel storage out of. And that kind of came from a couple years ago. I looked into CNC machining a rack to hold 3 boards.
Yeah.
I mean, CNC billet parts of that size, it was going to be ridiculously expensive. So I figured this way, now 80/20 stuff's expensive to buy, but this way people could build it any way they want.
Yeah,
So I've got that coming. That'll be a
Rector
small
set.
market, but you could also make a board stand out of it to hold the board upright and leaning a little bit. So that's coming up too. But I think that's it for me for product stuff.
We can jump into board maintenance for, getting back on the trails or street riding and stuff. I can tell you a small little story what happened to me on
go ahead.
Sunday. I had the XRC out, I'm cruising around, drained that battery. I grab this guy right here and I go to ride, and I'm riding and I get maybe 200 yards away from my vehicle, and I get this warning on my screen. It says footpad sensor error. And I was like, what's going on?
And you would think, well, it's a bad sensor. All these aftermarket sensors are bad, but that wasn't it.
It wasn't it. So, I'm trying to diagnose this thing, So I get off the board and I get back on it and it just falls forward. But the sensor's registering blue on both sides. So
the sensor itself is working.
Sensor's working, right? So I do it a couple more times, and then I figure out that my heel, if I jump on with my heel, the board will engage. So I start going slow back to my vehicle, and I have, of course, tools in the back of my car, pop it out, and I took off the footpad, and the wire connection...
The 3-pin wire thing?
The 3-pin wire thing. The connection was fine. It was the 3 pins of the actual wires that had pulled out of the back side.
One of the pin came out of the...
Yeah.
I've seen
so
that
I
before,
was like, oh, man. So, of course, I had some tape there, and I fixed it all up. And I jumped back on my board and prayed that it wasn't gonna,
Well, bear in mind,
fail.
as long as it's not the center pin, if the center pin comes out, the board shuts off no matter how fast you're going. If it's an outer pin, once you get going above 1 mile an hour, it will let you keep going.
Okay.
Because it thinks that one side has been, dislodged, but for safety purposes, over 1 mile an hour, if left or right side, one or the other by itself is disconnected, you can keep riding.
Yeah.
And I've seen that the pins pull out before, and it's always the outside pins. It's never the inside one.
Yeah.
Just by mechanical nature, the outside ones are holding the inside one in, but if you angle the wire to the side, it can pull the one out.
So I have not had a chance. Well, I rode. I was, maxing the thing out, and I was
out riding too. My son and I went out.
It was fine. I
Beautiful
get back
weather.
to the car, and I'm like, I probably need to take that apart again just to make sure that doesn't happen again. So.
Yeah, and so this brings up an interesting point. I think that board maintenance is something that, first off, I love it. I enjoy just taking boards apart.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid and I had my hobby grade RC cars, Tamiya was the brand I typically had.
Tamiya's.
Kit cars, and I...
Grasshopper, I think.
I had, my first car was a Frog, and I had a Wild Willie, and I had a Grasshopper, and I actually owned a hobby shop when I've had a lot of businesses, but I owned a small hobby shop in Wakanda. when I was 16, selling Tamiya stuff. Anyway, Midwest Model Supply was my distributor.
That's awesome.
But what I would do is, Saturday morning, my buddies and I would all take our RC cars and, we'd charge up our 1,200 milliamp hour NiCad packs,
3 or 4 of those
overnight.
things.
Yeah, 3 or 4 of them, and we'd go running Saturday morning. So Friday night, oftentimes we do a sleepover where we bring our RC cars over to a buddy's house, all of our tools, we disassemble the cars, we would, lube
wrench for the
stuff,
wheels and stuff.
Yeah, get everything set, clean everything, and check solder connections, clean the contacts on our mechanical speed controllers, and then as I got older, it was that way with BMX bikes and dirt bikes. If I knew Saturday we were going to go riding, I would maybe I'd pull the chain off the back of my dirt bike and I'd clean it and soak it in oil and put it on and clean up the bike, air up the tires, whatever. Look for any cracks in the tread or anything like that, and adjust the brakes and the clutch and all that. So maintenance of toys or vehicles have always been a part of my life. Mm-hmm. And with all of my boards, at any given moment, I've got anywhere from 6 to 14 boards that are at my house. And anyway, live stuff, but I had a text.
There you go.
Real
life here.
Real life. So I'm always building boards, but the reality though too is even the boards that I have that are just my go-to workhorse boards that are just modestly modified or whatever, rails and foot pads, that are just my slave boards that I throw down and ride and don't think much about. I still every now and then take them apart, and I think it's a wise thing to do. Now, to disassemble it, clean it, and check everything. Mm-hmm. Now, a few people will push back on that and say, well, leave well enough alone. If you take it apart and put it back together, you'll lose a screw, or maybe you won't tighten something, or if you're taking screws in and out too often, you'll strip threads. That's true. I'm not saying every day you should disassemble your board, but periodic maintenance, I would say at least at the change of seasons. Before riding season and then also at the end of riding season, take your board apart. And also, as far as from a threads, care of threads standpoint, if you're using blue Loctite, or if dry threads wear out, but threads that have any compound in them at all generally last a very, very, very long time. So whether that be anti-seize, that's a kind of a permanent lubricant, or even blue Loctite. Blue Loctite still remains in the threads, and it's almost like a waxy substance. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to get into all the minutia of Loctite, but if you're using any kind of compound on your threads and you're careful, don't just jam it in there, but be careful, make sure that you're not cross-threading things. I would say if you're doing board maintenance, just general maintenance, don't rush it. Take your time. Don't go, well, I got to rip this thing apart and put it back together before a ride. The guys are on their way. Don't do general maintenance then. If you have to fix something, that's one thing. You realize it's not working and there's people on their way, fix it quickly. But if it's a regular maintenance thing, and those that people that hunt and have to do firearm maintenance, kind of the same thing. You got to disassemble, clean, and lubricate, whatever. I view it as part of the hobby, part of the sport, and I enjoy it. Yeah. So, and usually it's also, I'm looking at something like maybe I want to change to a different style grip tape or change a tire. Well, if I have to fix anything on a board, I'm generally going to completely disassemble it. I mean, the boards aren't that complicated.
No.
Disassemble it, clean everything, and inspect things. If there's a screw that the Allen part of it is getting kind of loose or whatever, replace the screw. Mm-hmm. So it's a good opportunity to do that. It's also a good opportunity to look at all of the electrical connectors and look, especially the motor connector. Is there any charring going on in there? Yeah. So board maintenance is it's something that everybody should be doing. If you live in an area that you can ride year round, I don't know, pick a certain mileage, 500 miles or something. At 500 miles, strip the board down. And I'm not talking disconnecting electrical from inside the modules. Keep the battery and controller modules assembled and connected by the wire harness. And that's what I do. I take the 2 modules out, You know, lay the controller module on top of the battery module, set it aside, and I clean every part, inspect every
Get rid
part.
of all that dust and dirt.
Yeah, clean the modules, clean off the light lenses.
Yeah.
You'd be shocked how just cleaning the light lenses
Be able to see.
yeah. So I highly recommend it. And there's a few things that I found in regular maintenance that I'm like, oh crap, I'm glad that I checked that.
Yeah.
And you know, I've had motor connections that were not good. That's part of why I make the retainer now. So oh my gosh, that's not good. Foot pad connections, I've had those
I tell
too.
you, that did scare me at first. I was like, wow, that you just start thinking what could have happened
Well, yeah, exactly.
when you're cruising that fast.
Yeah, and just loose screws. I can't tell you how often I'm taking a board apart for maintenance and I go to crack a screw loose and ooh, it's loose. Oh man. Well, I went for a ride with you and my axle bolts were loose that day.
Mine the other day were I had to use some blue Loctite just to make sure, because I'm riding one of my board. This one I'm riding it with. I can go reverse them. You know, not
it was
the
clicking?
safety stop was not on, and it was it loosened them up because, you know, again, it was basically the first time out on a good trail that I took a long ride, and I had to take them off, and I had, of course, to carry that in my bag, and I just tightened them down.
Well, and one thing that people don't seem to think about is heating and cooling. So if you heat up any object, you know, metal versus wood, everything's different. You know how wood expands or contracts with humidity? Well, materials, plastic and metal, expand and contract with temperature. All materials do, some more so than others. Plastic really grows and shrinks with temperature changes. Metal, less so, but certain metals have more or less of that effect. So when you have a bunch of now, if let's say you have two identical materials together, two pieces of aluminum that are fastened together, and even the fasteners are aluminum, which you would never want to do. But just if all the materials of a multi-piece assembly are the same material, same grade, everything, you heat it up and cool down, and it will, on a microscopic level, expand and contract, and everything will stay tight. But when you have dissimilar materials, you have, you know, aluminum rails with steel screws through a plastic foot pad or whatever, all these different materials. Dissimilar materials expand and contract at different rates. So if you've got a board that's, you know, out in the cold over the winter time, everything's gonna shrink. Then you bring it in the house, everything swells back up. That shrinking and swelling loosens screws. So, and I mean, even if they're Loctited, they can loosen.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and I think this is part of the reason that Future Motion, everyone curses their axle bolts. It's like they use a jackhammer and crazy Loctite for their axle bolts. They're hard to get out. But that's because you got to go insane Future Motion is assuming your board's going to get no maintenance. It's a consumer grade item.
That's why they make it.
They assume that you're going to press the button, ride it, and then put it in storage and not maintain it. So they Loctite the daylights out of stuff and crank everything tight, really, really tight.
Yeah, that's smart.
That's smart if you're never going to maintain something, but the reality is you're eventually going to want to maintain it. And so I don't recommend cranking everything super tight the way they do, because that is hard on the threads. Once or twice is fine, but if you're going to be doing regular maintenance, snug it down, maybe use some blue Loctite, and you're good. But you're going to have to do some maintenance to that board over time. And, you know, tires wear out, grip tape wears out, parts fail, you know, foot pads fail, Future Motion sensors, aftermarket sensors, they fail eventually. So, wheel bearings wear out.
Yeah.
And so, you know, as far as maintenance goes, I'd like to hear people, you know, comment, send us an email, let us know, you know, what do you guys do for maintenance? What have been some maintenance hassles? Ask us questions. We're starting this episode this week. We're starting with we're going to end the episode with answering viewers' questions. And so by all means, leave questions. Let's see here. Yeah, that can go to voicemail. Okay. So anyway, maintenance, and you and I have talked a bit about this, you know, just because you're newer to it than I am, and you've come to my house a couple times to install things, and you know, it is amazing how every time I take a board apart, I'm surprised by something. If nothing else, the amount of dirt inside the bumpers.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the first time I took apart my board. I was so scared that I was going to do something wrong. I think I watched I don't know how many videos on YouTube just to make sure. Of course, you had to buy, it was the pint, and you had to buy a certain removal tool. What's the T something? I had to get it on Amazon.
Torx T20 or something.
T20
or
something.
T15. I don't remember.
You couldn't get it at Home Depot. I had to buy it on Amazon. It was a certain fit. So, but just to get that thing off was pretty.
Well,
yeah,
I
I'm so worried that you're gonna jack something up. So.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, and this brings up one point too. The pretty much everything about a one wheel, and I'll bring up the GT platform in particular. Pretty much everything about a GT comes apart and goes back together just fine, except lining up the holes for the bumper screws. The bumpers, the front bumper especially, it's hard oftentimes to get it on there and get it all the way on, and the holes don't always line up. So it's real easy to cross-thread bumper screws into the rails, be it stock rails, aftermarket rails, my rails, anybody. What I do, I open up the holes in the plastic just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Now don't open them up really far, because then you'll just suck the head of the screw right through the plastic. But open them up a little bit. I bought a tapered reamer. It's a hole reamer that's tapered. It's skinny at the top and gets wider just for this purpose. But you can also just use a hobby knife, like an X-Acto knife, and get in there. Be careful not to take out too much. Don't hog it out. But I open up the plastic holes. The 4 in the front bumper and the 6 in the rear bumper, I open all of them up just a little bit, like a millimeter, because it makes it so much easier to get the screws lined up. Oftentimes you get, no problem, they all go in, and the last one does not want to go in.
Right.
And then you end up getting ticked off and you cross-thread it. So another thing too, piece of advice with bumpers is, don't put in one screw and tighten it, the next one and tighten it. Put them all in loose. Make sure that you get them all in there. Then once the threads are started on all the screws, then go back and tighten them.
And I tell you, the ones that, it's always the one on the back foot pad. Those seem to be a little bit smaller screws, and don't tighten them too far. They will go through that.
They will go.
The bumper. Sorry.
They will. They'll draw through. I've done it before.
Yeah, I have
where
too.
I'm not paying attention and I just tighten. Oh my gosh, I sucked it in there.
Sucked it in there.
So yeah, there's that. Also, the bumpers are held on a GT. Flip it upside down. The bumper screws that are at the very front by the LEDs. And at the rear by the LEDs, those are the longer. They're 5mm pitch, but they're the longer screws. And then the other screws that screw the bumpers to the rails are the shorter 5mm thread screws. So make sure you get that right, because if you can put the long screws through the rails in almost every position, but there's a couple spots that it will push into the battery box. So you got to make sure that you do that right. Like I believe in the front you can use longer screws and it's fine. In fact, sometimes that's better because you could see that you're lining it up. I've put longer screws in holding the bumpers into the rails, but you got to be careful because in the back, I think it's 2 of the rear ones have to be the shorties or else they pierce the battery box. Which that brings up, people are going to ask, since I mentioned battery boxes, billet battery boxes. I have 2 prototypes of the finished design in machining now that I'll have to test. The controller box, I'm hoping to have everything finalized. That's a bit tough because the billet lid requires a plastic lens, 3D printed lens to pass the LED light through. So a billet lid with a opaque printed lens as a separate part, and the box is finned on the cover and finned on the bottom and finned on the sides. I mean, it's the controller box has been quite a thing. So that's still not even completely finished in design. It's like 98% done, but that will be prototyped soon. I was hoping to have them both done at the same time, but they're not.
You definitely got to bring one on.
That'll
look
answer
at
the
it.
question. Yeah, I'll as soon as I've got them, I'll bring them on and show you. So yeah, that's that.
Yeah, again, I would make sure that air pressure, you're going to lose air pressure in your tires over the winter too, so make sure that you check that out. That's probably, again, just check all your screws and stuff.
Check everything.
Yeah, check everything. During the whole jersey order stuff that was going on, I end up kind of meeting, through Messenger, a couple, Leslie and Matthew Farkas, they're down in the Florida Keys.
Ah.
I know. It's pretty cool. So
I feel for them in that bad weather, you know.
Well, I don't know. I could take that weather right now.
When I was a kid, we were going to move to Florida, so our family has kind of a love for it. But anyway,
yeah. So she just started. Her and her husband just started a all Keys OneWheel group. So if you see that
on Facebook,
definitely jump on that. They got this prime piece of land down there. It's actually their house has been in a movie. Hopefully I'm telling it right, but it's been in a Netflix movie called Bloodline.
Okay.
Gorgeous house. They got some extra property on it. So she's thinking about doing some gatherings down there and kind of riding down in the Florida Keys. That would be so cool. I don't know if you've ever been to the Florida Keys. My wife and I went there a couple of years ago, and it is definitely a place to be.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So nice down there. A lot of history down there too.
Oh yeah.
A lot of chickens running around. Yeah, and some six-toed cats, I hear. So from a certain writer that used to go down there and write a lot. So pretty cool place. So check that out. Again, all Keys OneWheel. Leslie, Farkas, and Matthew. Jersey update. Yes, jerseys have been ordered finally.
Didn't meet the minimum, so Dave met the minimum out of pocket.
I met the minimum. Pockets are empty. Woo!
That's
but
right.
I got it. So they're on their way. I'm still waiting for just one more email that they. It's pretty cool. They send me a kind of like a list to make sure everything's going to fit right with names and stuff, because this time, of course, we have a front name and then we have the back name. So just to verify before they run it in production, so everything ships and it looks good. So
cool.
Edwin, the guy that I'm working with, he's actually in Germany. So they're coming from Germany, but pretty cool company. They do a lot of stuff for like Red Bull and whole bunch of companies that use them. But yeah, we got a rider shout out.
Okay.
So rider shout out this episode is Zane Carter. So Zane Carter was 2025 Race the Rails Women's Champion. So she's pretty cool. I got to meet her at the Windman last September. And actually, when I throw this on YouTube, and I have a picture of her holding the Race the Rails sword. It's pretty neat. So she's a pretty good rider. She does a lot of stuff for One Wheel. And super fast. Super fast.
I gotta say, this from an action sports standpoint, one wheeling seems to draw. I've not researched this, so this is pure opinion, but it seems to me that it draws more female riders than other forms of extreme sports and action sports. Now, it could just be our area. This could be my small sample size anecdotal. It may not be across the board, but it sure does seem like there are more women in one wheeling, and I think part of it is there's a level of finesse that's required.
Look at that, we're live, verified, we're good.
Oh, I'm telling
That's
you
pretty
what.
cool,
does it show how many people are watching?
Let's see. Let me see real quick here.
But yeah, there.
Do you have a way of seeing?
Oh, well, we know the voice is working.
Yeah, no kidding. I sound great, by the way.
Yeah.
You always sound weird. You ever notice that your voice sounds different when you're talking in your own head than it does to other people?
Yeah, I don't know how to find out who's on here at all. Well, we got 4 messages. Hold on here. 3 peeps.
Real time? You guys are
Real
seeing
time.
this in real time?
You know, it'll get better. I'm going to figure out how to put something here, and then we'll be able to answer that. But I kind of like it. It's kind of neat. So
yeah.
we kind of...
Yeah, I think it would be great to have live questions answered.
Yeah.
So
I'll get it fixed.
But so anyway, my wife and I were talking about the one wheel thing, and she now my wife has some chronic health issues, so she is doctor calls her an eggshell person. She's as long as you don't crack the shell, she's fine, but like easy to crack the shell.
Yeah.
If she were to ever fall, like wintertime, if she slips on the ice and falls, I mean she's probably 2 months of just visits to the chiropractor and migraine headache, like all kinds of stuff before she feels better. So when I got into one wheeling, she's like, I really wish I could do that. But she said, if I fell off that thing, she said, I'd be down for months. And but I think there's some kind of the one wheel requires a level of finesse, and there's kind of almost like a I don't know, like a beauty to it, like figure skating or something that I think some women might be drawn to more so than, whatever, some two-stroke dirt bike or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I like that. I like that there are, and we've talked about this before, but that when you go for a ride, older ladies seem to be the ones that ask the question. That looks so fun, as I'm going by, and I'll turn around and go back.
Happened to me on Sunday.
Yeah. So one thing we got to talk about, maybe we'll make this for a future episode, but fitness. We've talked a little bit about, you've lost some weight. I lost weight years ago, and exercising to remain fit, partly for riding the boards, but I think I want to bring it up. Buster Bourne and I were talking about this at length, but just how it seems like one-wheeling, there's a larger number of our age people in one-wheeling than there are our age people in, I think, any other action sport.
I think you're right.
Or it's at least a very high percentage. Yeah. And so at our age, fitness is an important thing. And it also helps prevent injuries. So I think that's something we should
definitely
plan for in the future. So
there's something I'm going to definitely start stretching before I go out and ride, or pre-stretch before I go out to the trails. So
yeah, there's a lot of things. I had knee surgery at one point, and for physical therapy, that the doctor had told me how standing with my legs not totally straight, just slightly bent, but my feet apart and pulling inward, kind of standing and tugging inward, puts inward load on the knees and strengthens the ACLs, I believe. Yeah. And then putting outward pressure, it's the the outside ligaments, anterior ligaments or whatever. So I, at certain times during the day, like if I'm standing at my bench packaging, I'll pull my legs in, whatever. I do things. At our age, you look for things that you can do to improve your fitness level. Right. I will park far away from a store to increase the number of steps I've got to get in walking there. I love going to Home Depot or Menards, or Whole Foods, best grocery store around, down the road. And I'll walk around. I mean, my wife and I average 1,000 steps when we go to Whole Foods. So
that's pretty good.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll do several laps, and not just to get our steps, but we'll purposely okay, we got to get milk. That's at the southeast corner of the store. But then I get fish, which is at the almost the southwest extreme corner of the store. But we also get sparkling water, which is at the northeast corner of the store. And we don't necessarily get everything in my wife will be getting the sparkling water, and at the opposite corner of the store, diagonally, is the fish. So I'll tell her, let's go get fish. And we just, we shop and we get our steps in. So if you're younger watching this, you don't know. Once you hit your 40s and 50s,
Extra steps.
I spend a lot of my time, a lot of my life focused on my fitness. Like it is 12:20 and I haven't eaten anything yet today.
I haven't eaten anything either.
We've talked about that. Intermittent fasting, one of the best ways to lose weight. So walking got my A1C down. And anyway, I don't want to get into it.
I just got one of these.
We'll make another one.
Hume bands, Hume. Mm-hmm. And this thing.
Sure, that's not fume. You can't suck on that.
No,
anyway, go ahead.
Fumes on that one. I started with a Whoop band. I tried that out, and so with a Whoop band, it's a band that you're basically you're almost like leasing it. So you sign up for the subscription, which is once a year, and there's 3 different levels. And I opted for the middle level. I think it was called Peak. So the band is like $239. And you don't even I guess you own the band, but if you don't have a subscription,
It doesn't work if you
it
don't have
doesn't
the-
work.
Yeah.
So I used it. It was pretty cool. But then I was just
I don't like subscriptions though. They irritate
I
me.
just kind of
I don't like ongoing.
So I ended up returning it. Sorry, but Best Buy. Oops. And then I, you know how Facebook is. As soon as you say something about some sort of band, you're getting all this social media about it, right? So I researched this Hume band, and it's pretty cool. I mean, it's $100. I mean, $200, but it's yours, and you have all the data. You don't have to like. It's all yours. It's stored on your phone, and it's you know, it's not elaborate like the Whoop band or whatever, but it's so far I've had it for 3-4 days, and it's working pretty good. Definitely tracks your sleep, tracks your steps, of course, just like my Apple Watch does. But I don't sleep with my Apple Watch on.
Yeah, I take my watch off.
This is
Yeah, my
fine.
wife will occasionally keep her watch on, mainly because she's got health issues.
Yeah.
Part of which gives her insomnia.
Yeah.
She's awake most nights for 3 hours and right in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Midnight, 1 a.m. She wakes up, gets back to sleep at 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And so she may occasionally wear her Apple Watch overnight, but neither of us want anything on our. I don't know.
Yeah, this you don't even notice it. You know, I guess you notice it for a couple hours, but then you're fine. Sleeping is
So
not that
speaking
bad.
of which, do you pay attention to your resting heart rate?
Yeah. So
What is yours average through the day?
my resting heart rate is right around 68. It's kind of high. What's yours? 50 something?
54.
Yeah.
So by the end of summer, it's typically 47 or 48
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice
because of all the exercising. And then,
know.
And like January,
Yeah.
it's like 60, 61. So then I start exercising to get it down again.
Yeah. So after like with this, after 7 days, it gives you a total score of where your body's at based on your age.
Okay.
And if it's, let's say I'm 53 and it says, well, your body's at like 57, it'll help you tell you what you need to do to try to lower that back to where you're supposed to be.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's pretty neat, right? And then it gives you like a score daily once you have so many days in on these things.
I think we need to make the whole fitness thing an entire next podcast.
We need to do that.
We'll just make the whole podcast because this brings up, it could be multiple segments. This brings up so many different things. I've had a journey. I've lost some weight. You've lost more than I. So both of us have gone through that. So yeah, this is.
It's funny how when
really
you get
good
older,
stuff.
this data is like intriguing to you.
It is intriguing. So here's, I'll sort of close the health discussion part with this comment.
Copy.
That you know, anyone of any age can appreciate this. But I was talking to my dad. He's currently 80. He'll be 83 this year, I believe.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It was maybe 10 years ago. We were talking about exercise and fitness, and he said, "Let me tell you how this works. In your 20s, you exercise to impress the girls. In your 30s, you exercise just to keep up with your buddies that are in their 20s.
Yeah.
In your 40s, you exercise because you recognize that there's some level of importance to it and that it's not just the beach muscles and looking buff,
Right.
but there's some health there. In your 50s, you exercise because you recognize that your body doesn't function properly anymore and you now have to.
Yeah.
In your 60s, you exercise because you physically can't function through the day without it. Like you can't, if you're not exercising, you're going to throw your back out climbing out of bed.
Yeah.
He said, in your 70s, you exercise so that you're not dead. He said, every decade that moves on, exercise becomes more and more important. And then a personal trainer told me, he said, what fitness level you can achieve in your youth, you can carry most of that into your older years. You know, like guys like Schwarzenegger and that, even, you know, in their 70s are still pretty buff and can lift a lot at the gym.
Yeah.
But if you start at that age, you'll never be able to achieve that.
No.
So
gotta
start young and carry it into your
Continue to do
later
it.
years.
Yeah.
So, all right. So now,
Well, where
Let
are we
It-
at?
Let It
we
Ride
have,
update?
Yeah, we have Let It Ride. So over the weekend, there was a race right out of Las Vegas called Let It Ride 5. And
that would make this the 5th one.
that's number 5.
See,
Just
see,
like
I'm
this is
picking up what you're throwing
episode
down.
10. So,
It's funny how that's sequential. It's
I know, right? Yeah. So I'm going to go over the certain classes. Pro men. Okay, you know
I have not
some-
gone over these
you don't
stats.
know, okay.
You know, a couple people have sent me links to this, and I was out of town.
There's
and stuff.
definitely some crazy jumps and stuff at that
Oh
race.
my gosh!
Pretty dusty,
Yeah, I've
though.
watched a few shorts that. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Geez.
I saw that Sebastian. He took a picture looking out the side of a window of a plane. He was going to it, but I don't know if he raced or not. But all right, pro men. First place, Brandon LaCour. Hopefully, I'm saying it right. LaCour. Second place, Hayden Bowling. Nice.
Hayden is cranking. I really hope this year gets better. Hayden, Kevin, Kevin's his dad.
Yeah,
If
super
you guys
nice guy.
are watching, so Hayden's a sponsored rider for me, but admittedly, the last few months, probably going back to about September, October, sales have been down so far that I haven't been able to do much. Normally, I send them a bunch of stuff and all that, and my level of sponsorship has been lower. Just there literally isn't. There's just this time of year sucks, and this year has been down more than usual. So my apologies, Hayden. Yes, you're still getting stuff from me. Hopefully this summer will kick up and you can get more. So my apologies, because Kevin will reach out. Hey, do you have this? No, I don't. Or can you do this? Oh, dude, it's such a bad time. So my apologies. Hayden is awesome, and he is. I don't want to say the future of pro men's, but he is one of the future pro men's. Like he's got a long future ahead of him. So awesome guy.
Third place was Sam Varner.
Oh yeah, send it, Sam.
Send it, Sam, huh? All right. So, legends, and that's the category I'm going to be racing in, and I will not be in 1, 2, or 3. I guarantee you that. Zach Zinn came in first place. Jeff Bushy came in second, and then Paul Whitmore came in third. Let's go pro women. Mercedes Silva,
Of course.
number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Meeker, number 2, and Heather Grahi. I hope I said it right. Number 3. Amateur women, Stephanie Lamb. She was the only one that placed, so maybe she was the only one that raced. That's pretty cool. That's a guarantee.
Yeah.
Right?
Just tool around
Those are
nice
great.
and slow. How did you win with a time like that?
Yeah. Amateur men, there was only 2 people at least placed. That's Daniel Webb and then Christopher Winsley. Clydesdale, first place was D. Montes, and then
Montez,
Dean.
maybe?
Yeah, what's that?
Montez, maybe?
Montez?
I don't know.
Montes? Montez?
I suppose.
I think so. Dean Strandberg came in second. All right, teens 13 to 17. Noah Lewis and Lance Lambert came first and second, and then James O'Neill came in third. For the Groms, 8 to 12-year-olds, Mason O'Neill and Jaden Franklin, first and second place, and then Hazel Rivera came in third. Expert men's, Cody Thornton, first place, Josh Moulton, second, and Mika Benefit came in third. EUC men's, got the EUCs, that's pretty cool. Joshua Bergeness.
Big air with EUCs.
Oh, those guys are crazy.
I mean, there's EUC guys jumping like 40, 50 feet.
Oh,
It's insane.
It's insane. And then Zach Darnell came in third, and then Zach came in second. Oh, I apologize. And then Justin Davis came in third. EUC women, Stephanie Lamb, she's claimed another spot. She came in first place, and the only one that looked like it raced. Okay, and then the one-wheel freestyle. Travis Tatum came in first. Derek White came in second, and then Meekwise Berg came in third place. And that is your Let It Ride update
Cool.
for
It's
Las
amazing
Vegas.
how many of those names are people I know, and how many of them I've never even heard of.
Well, there's a
So,
lot.
so it's great to see new people coming in.
That's awesome.
So
So yeah,
cool.
every time there's a race, we'll go over the standings from the race. That was kind of neat.
Yep.
So I don't know if they actually, for like Race the Rail last year, they had it live on YouTube. That was kind of neat to watch.
Yeah, that was very cool.
I know, it was fun. Hopefully that we'll see a lot more live stuff, and then if we're not able to go, we can go. Next, let's see, I got how many days to Oak City? I'm gonna head out to North Carolina. So, and guess who's gonna be there? Steve Schooner.
Oh, Schoonmaker. Steve. Ah.
We actually were messaging. I wasn't even a friend with him on Facebook, so I asked. He accepted, and I saw that he's going. So I think we're gonna
Super good guy.
meet
Very
up
very
and maybe
mellow dude.
See that he's he likes to make some steaks, some prime steaks on his.
Really?
He's a big.
This is something I didn't
guy.
know about.
You got to check out his Facebook. He's he goes down on some steaks.
I mean, usually
steak.
it's he's doing some crazy juggling or magic tricks or
Yeah,
something.
he was on there. He was practicing for.
Yeah,
juggling.
and so those are the videos I normally click
But
on.
if you go through his Facebook, he's
cool.
definitely he is definitely a chef.
Almost worth driving out to Michigan. He lives in Michigan just to have
Yeah.
him make some steaks.
Yeah, he gets the good ones, the prime ones. I can't afford those. But
I have a friend that occasionally buys real Wagyu steaks, as in $200 a steak.
yeah, let me tell you, the place that I work, and I won't name where I work, you might be able to figure out. I don't know. We have A5 Wagyu flown in, and we had tenderloins last year, and they were $1,000 a tenderloin.
Wow.
$1,000. We have steaks that are $300 a piece too.
That's
But
nuts.
they are.
Yeah, I mean,
I
what
don't
he
even
told
see
me
the
though,
meat
he's
in
like,
it.
you got to understand though that that's a large steak. It's very thick, and he said
very
it's very
rich.
rich. So he gave an illustration that he said it's similar to like fudge. My dad used to make fudge,
Yeah.
and when I was a kid, you can't okay. Let's say you have a Hershey bar. You can eat the whole Hershey bar, milk chocolate, no big deal. Fudge, you kind of can't do that. Or like going to Cheesecake Factory.
Oh,
I
big
mean,
thing of
more power
cheese.
to you if you can eat an entire piece of Cheesecake Factory cheesecake. It's just too rich.
It's too much.
Well, that's my buddy Nathan was telling me that it's that way with Wagyu steak. He said you're not going to finish a $200 or $300 steak.
You're going
He
to
said
cut
you're-
it up in bite size.
Yeah,
everybody.
he said. Now he goes, don't get me wrong. A small chunk is going to cost you $40 or whatever. But he said you go out to a restaurant, it's going to be $40. So he said you eat a small chunk of it, and you're not eating tiny bits, but you're eating smaller bites because it's so rich and so good.
Yeah.
And I think that's I love crab legs and lobster, and
Oh, so do I.
I love shellfish. So and that's the way crab is. I'll fight for a little bitty shred of crab out of that.
Yeah.
Get it in there, and whatever.
The snow crab or the Dungeness, you really got to dig for those.
Yeah, and it's very rich, and I haven't had Wagyu steak, so I don't know. But
neither.
my friend has told me this.
Never had prime either.
Now I did have what is the filet mignon? I had a filet mignon burger. There's a place
filet
in
mignon,
Deer Park, so south of here by a half hour, that makes a they just call it a filet burger because it's filet mignon, and they grind up a filet mignon
Right
and make
there.
a burger, and it is. I ate it. So I'm sitting there. My wife and I are both burger aficionados. So we're sitting across the table from each other, and it wasn't even all that expensive. It was $29, which, that was for the whole meal, and with the soft drink and 2 sides and all that. So it wasn't as bad as you might think, considering it's filet mignon. But I'm eating this. My wife's across from me, and I took one bite. I'm talking. I take a bite, and I stopped, and she said, "What?" And I set it down. And I looked at her and I said, "This has ruined burgers for me."
Yeah, no 80-20 or anything. No 90-10.
Now, the funny thing about it, though, is that's the only time I've ever had it. And I've had other burgers since, and I've been fine. But I still remember that it was so good. Five Guys, my choice. If somebody said, you can choose one burger place to go have a burger right now, where would it be? It would be Five Guys for me. Where would it be for you?
There is a burger place close to us called Twisted Burger.
Oh gosh. Wait, yeah, there's one in Barrington. Where's the other one?
There's one right up the road from us. Well, for me, is it Round Lake?
Okay.
It's
Oh,
like
that's
old
right.
downtown
Yeah.
on the corner. That
Yeah,
old bank.
I've been to the one in Barrington. You're right. You know what? I may have to change that.
Twisted Burger's pretty
I've
good.
been there 6 or 7 times.
It's pretty good.
My
They got some
daughter's father-in-law has taken me there several times.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jim. Not that he's watching here, but so yes, that is. Yeah,
Actually, when my wife and I first went,
greasiest burgers in the world, which makes them amazing.
and they got some good combination. You know, we had I think she had this one called the Black Widow, or maybe it was me. It was a little spicy. Super good though.
Now, are you a spice person?
I like spice.
Okay, so now let me ask you this question. Did you, or I will bring up my own situation and see if you echo this. So this goes back to the whole fitness thing and losing weight. When I lost weight, I will admit I'm a food addict. It's just, it's who I am. You know, I know people that say food is for fuel. You know how much time I'd save if I didn't have to eat? And I'm like, you're weird.
Flavor.
Yeah, I like the flavor. So I'm looking at it like, okay, when I was losing weight, I'm counting calories and everything. And I'm thinking, how can I improve the eating experience without increasing calories? So for one thing, fragrance. I love driving by a burger place. No calories in a sniff. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm like, how can I
you
improve
hungry,
this? Well, I had never been much of a spice person. So I'm like, well, spice, you know, hot stuff, there's no calories to it. Not only are there no calories, it actually accelerates digestion. And there's some evidence to, and I am anecdotal evidence to this, if you eat spicy food, it encourages weight loss. It's almost like the food rushes right through you and doesn't absorb or something. Burns going in and it burns coming out.
Yeah, it does.
But I learned to appreciate spicy food. So now when if we go somewhere and there's a spicy option, you know, if there's a jalapeno burger or something, that's what I'm going to get. And, you know, makes my head sweat, you know, whatever. But
burning calories.
Now, when you were losing weight, is that when or if you always liked spicy food?
I've always liked it, but I will opt to the spiciest
Because it increases the meal experience without
it gives you
just
that
eating
euphoria too, because that you know, the heat
gives you the food buzz.
It gives you the food buzz. It's pretty good. I like it, you know.
So when I was a teenager, maybe I brought this up in a previous podcast. If I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry, but it's funny enough to repeat. When I was in my teens, I was the only one with a car. I had a 70, well, I had several of them. I think at this time I'm thinking of it was 76 Chevy Chevette, little hatchback, stick shift, 50 miles an hour max speed. Anyway, what a turd. But I was the only, in my circle of friends, at least for that summer, I was the only one with a car. So I'd pick up all my buddies and we'd go bowling or do whatever we were going to do. And but because I was the only one with a car, I could choose where we wanted to go. But also, you know, everyone would chip in for gas. And I'm like, okay, cool. But also, I was teasing them. I'm like, that doesn't cover wear and tear on my car. So they would buy me stuff. Like if we were going out to eat, if we would drive through, it was usually McDonald's or Burger King or something. But they would usually buy me something because I was the one driving. And it was kind of cool. Well, the guys very quickly learned that if they bought me candy, not hard candy, but like candy bars, I love Reese's Cups. My idea of heaven is chocolate chip cookies, soft, with Reese's Cups and unlimited milk.
Milk's good.
So, but they would buy me
milk.
Reese's Cups or Snicker bars or whatever, and I didn't realize it, but they noticed it. I didn't notice it, but like for me, time would speed up. I started talking a lot faster, and I did everything more rapidly when I had sugar in me.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this at first. All I knew is, you know, we'd stop for gas or whatever. And so one of the guys would go, and I got to use the bathroom. He'd run in and come out with a couple candy bars and he'd hand me one. Oh, I bought you a candy bar. Thanks for driving. And there's snickering in the back seat. I'm not, no, you know, whatever. Did they sabotage it? It's still sealed. Whatever. Well, I didn't realize this for a few months. Eventually, they're all laughing in the back seat. And they told me, they said, oh, you get a buzz on sugar. Well, I don't drink alcohol. I've never taken a drug of any kind. The only time I've ever been high is I had a Tylenol 4 with codeine when I was 12 because I had a migraine at Great America Amusement Park. So my mom gave me one of her. She has a bad back.
Straight and narrow.
She gave me a codeine and I was tripping. She's like, quiet down. Look, I feel so light. Anyway, it's the only time I've ever had a buzz in my life on drugs. So I'm a very pure body. So sugar sends me off. And
The
So,
sugar high.
yeah, so I remember that as a kid. But as an adult, trying to keep my A1C down and all that.
Yeah,
But
that's what happens when we get older.
yeah, but if you go for a walk right after you eat sugar, your body will exercise off the glucose as it's hitting your bloodstream, so you don't
can
get a
watch it,
spike.
yeah, be fine.
Those of you old guys out there, you'll know
There
what
you
I'm
go.
talking about.
Okay, so last week, well, it wasn't last week. You were on vacation last week. So it was the week before
Last
when we did the
podcast.
podcast.
Well, this is midweek, so it's been a week and a
I
half.
guess so.
Yeah.
We did another grip tape
That's right.
giveaway.
One Wheel
and
Parts.
We're going to announce the winner. Winner is Tanner Gifford.
Tanner Gifford.
Sent a cool little video, talked about, I don't know why this guy's getting on a one wheel.
Amazing. Yeah, in his video, he's like, yeah, I just got done recovering from a motorcycle wreck, broken back and broken sternum.
Back. Holy moly.
Jeez, dude.
Jumps on a one wheel and it's wet outside.
So, Dave's like, this guy. So he plays, I'm like, yeah, he wins.
Yeah.
So Tanner, so I will get, Brad Jennings from One Wheel Parts I'll get a discount code from him that you can use toward whatever products you want on the One Wheel Parts website. And so thanks, Tanner. We are
Shout
getting
out to
submissions for the freebies, but not as much as we'd like. We're getting a handful, but we would really like a larger number. But the reality is, since we're getting so few submissions, if you submit, the odds are pretty
Chances are
good.
high.
It's not like buying a lotto ticket where it's just never going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
You got pretty good odds of
And
winning.
again, thank you for everybody that did submit, but Tanner had the best video.
Oh yeah, it was
honestly.
a good video. It was. I
I'm
got
glad
a
he's
good
still
laugh
walking
out of it.
straight. So,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
definitely we'll get that stuff to him.
And leave questions for us in the comments. Ask us a couple of questions because each week we want to answer, a viewer's question.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you get such baby soft skin?
know,
Tell
right?
us. You
Yeah,
guys, you're
keep
just
that-
glowing on.
Right. Yeah.
Ask us whatever question you want, and we may or may not answer it truthfully.
Yeah. Is that it?
I don't know. That's all I got. My stomach's rumbling.
Okay. Well, till next week. I think we'll be next week.
I hope so.
I think so.
Easter Sunday's coming up, so busy week. At the church we go to, my wife is in charge of events, event planning, decorations, all that. So this is a busy week for us.
Yeah.
We'll be there doing a bunch of decorations.
Awesome.
So, I don't know, quick plug. I go to LifeBridge Community Church in Wakanda, kind of a cool place.
Yeah.
So if you want to meet me Sunday mornings, I'm typically
And
there.
what do you
I'm
got going next Tuesday?
and I'm on security there. So if you look shady, I'll throw you out. What's
Tuesday, you got a new men's kind of group going on?
Oh, Thursday or Wednesdays. So
Wednesday.
Yeah, so kind of a cool thing. We have it'll be every other Wednesday night there at LifeBridge Community Church. Just a men's group. We're going to get together, chow down on pizza or tacos. Each time will be a different food item, and just kind of guys getting together to sort of encourage each other, hang out.
Yeah.
It's at a church, but it's not a Bible study or anything. Just guys kind of. There is a Bible verse that talks about iron sharpening iron. As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. Yeah. Just guys hanging out, and invariably, you get a dozen guys together in a room. You'll have two guys are really struggling. Maybe one guy's got a failing marriage, another guy just lost his job, and other people can kind of come around him and support him. Maybe somebody, something really cool is going on in his life, and we can kind of celebrate with him. So it'll be a men's group starting. Should be, let's see here, the Wednesday after Easter. Well, no, let me think here. Probably Wednesday after Easter will be the first one, 7:00 there at LifeBridge Community Church. Just guys hanging out, eating whatever food we get, pizza, tacos, burgers, whatever.
I used to go to a men's event like that too. I'm a big hunter for hunting season, and maybe some of you guys that ride one wheels are.
Jeff McCosker's a hunter. He posts a lot.
Does he really?
About hunting. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think he's a bow hunter too. I think I saw that on one.
Yeah,
maybe
fowl.
one of
He hunts fowl.
But I used to go to a men's group called Ironman Outdoors, and they would go and have all of these hunting events that you could kind of, you pay at a discounted price, and you would drive. Like my dad and I went to one down in Georgia, which we were hunting hogs, and it's there is some Bible study at after some a dinner. We get together and we kind of just talk. And again, that was their motto. It was an Iron Man outdoors, so iron, sharpens iron. So it was great. Went to a bunch of those. Well, not really a bunch, but maybe 3 or 4. My buddy Todd got me into it. At the time, he was working for Michelin Tires, and he actually works for Jackson Motorsports now. It's in North Carolina, big social media kind of company that helps companies get their name out. So it's pretty cool. But he got me into it. It was awesome.
So,
Fun times. You've been meeting a lot of cool people. So.
It's interesting. Not to get off in the weeds about the religion or church topic,
No.
but there has been, in the last couple decades, the male church attendance is dropped tremendously, and it's mostly women that attend. And a lot of that's because faith or Christianity has, I don't want to say become feminized, but kind of. It's been viewed as it's this soft, emotional, touchy-feely thing that women are all about sharing from their soul and whatever. And whereas men are like, tell me that I'm risking my life and I'm going to show up for it. And so it's kind of cool. In the last couple of years, I've noticed that men's church events have been on the rise.
If you can combine a hobby with it too.
Well, and the thing is, the reality is, okay, women are relational. Men are relational in their own way, but men are task-oriented. Women are more relational. Men are relational in a task way. So, for instance, there'll be a dude that has his garage door open, and you see that, hey, there's a 66 Dodge Dart that he's working on in the garage. And so you're looking and you walk up the driveway. Hey, I'm Matt. I live up the road. I notice you're always working on this car. Oh, yeah, dude. This week it's all about the fuel system. And I got, you need a hand with something. And before you know it, he's telling you about, my wife and I are separated. So I'm doing this to try to keep my mind off it. And I'm like, dude, I'm sorry to hear that. Guys will open up about sensitive topics, but it's usually revolving around some other subject matter, a hobby, a project, an accomplishment, an injury. Oh, what's the scar? Oh, dude, compound fracture. What about you? That looks like a bullet wound. Yeah, that was surgery. I had it, whatever. And so guys, men bond, women network. I've heard that being said. Men bond over, some mutual crisis or some major thing. Women will network amongst themselves and just, have this circle of ladies. And so when it comes to, these church events or whatever, it's, if it's around food or some event or something, men will gather. Plus, I think it's a misnomer that men have no emotions. Men just don't wear their heart on their sleeve. And also men will open up more with one guy or just a couple other guys. Women will open up in a large group setting. I remember being at a conference at one point, a marriage conference thing, and not too long ago, and they had the men meeting separately from the women. You met together as couples, and they gave you exercises to do, tell each other what it was that drew you to each other the first time, the whole thing. Well, when the men had a breakout session and the women had a breakout session. So I show up for the men's breakout session. I'm sitting down and the speaker's standing there on the stage. And he's like, he's looking around and he goes, men, yes. He said, I'm looking around this auditorium. He said, this is awesome. He said, you have proven my theory. He said, I'm looking through this auditorium. Look around. We got man, 3 empty chairs. Man, 2 empty chairs. Man, 4 empty chairs. Man, 2 empty chairs. Man, 2 empty chairs. He goes, you are evenly dispersed among throughout the auditorium. Men, congratulations for achieving true manhood. He said, during the women's session, I dare you to peek through the crack in the door. You will see all 500 women huddled in one little spot right in the middle. They're linked arm in arm. It's a kumbaya event. And I thought, that is so true. He goes, men will see in an auditorium the way they separate themselves at urinals in a public bathroom.
There you go.
One urinal, one guy at a urinal, 3 empties, another guy, 3 empties. He's like, that's the way men sit together too.
Don't get too close.
And it is very true. But it's kind of cool. So this whatever. If you guys want to check out a church in the area, it's kind of cool. But anyway, I
Well,
think that's it.
Happy Easter.
Yeah, happy Easter to you guys. And we aren't taking a week off for Easter. I was gone for a while, so this podcast is a few days late.
Yep.
But I don't know that we'll do a podcast over the weekend. Number one, it's only a couple days away. Number two, it's Easter weekend. So
Hopefully,
have to check our work
I gotta
schedules.
I don't even know what days I'm off next week.
we'll
so
play it by ear.
We'll play it by ear.
All right, cool.
Again, keep it safe, keep it clean, keep it above board. Hope you like the live.
Yeah, we'll do more live
Well,
in the
we'll
future,
try to
and
do
you'll
it.
see.
All right.
No one was picking their nose or
Try not to.
Picking anything else?
Maybe I did. I don't know.
Ride it high, ride it low. Feeling motors start to glow. One wheel, one life, let it roll. Carving lines and chasing soul. Sending